For global investors, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange has long been regarded as a bellwether for South Africa's economy. And the JSE has been on a remarkable tear since the formation of South Africa's Government of National Unity in May last year. From May 2024 to September 2025, the JSE's FTSE Top 40 Index has surged 55% in US dollar terms, outpacing gains on the MSCI Emerging Markets Index, the MSCI World Index, and even the mighty Nasdaq 100. The JSE's own share price has climbed 63% over the same period. And what we are seeing right now is credit markets are pricing in a more favorable outlook for South Africa's economy than the rating itself. It is against this backdrop that the JSE's CEO, Leila Fourie, is announcing her decision to step down, bringing a close to a more than 6.5-year chapter at the helm of Africa's largest stock exchange. And not a bad time to call it a day. Except we do know that timing in the markets is everything, Leila, so why now?
Well, Fifi, it's actually with a happy but very heavy heart that I will be saying goodbye to the JSE in 6 months from now. And leadership is about timing. Mm-hmm. My personal view is that leaders should stay around for between 6 and 7 years. I've been with the JSE over a long period of time for 15 cumulative years, and I'll bow down at 6.5 years. And I think that's a good innings. When you think about transition, the best transitions happen when personal growth and organizational momentum coincide. Mm-hmm. And we are precisely at that point right now. On a personal level, I'm ready to step into the next stage of my life. What's most important for me is the staff that I've led. I'm very grateful for the incredible contribution that all of them have made. And I feel as if my time in past playing it forward for staff has come. I plan to focus on other elements which are adjacent to what I'm doing. And then if I come to the organizational level, mm-hmm. as you just said, we are at a very good point in time. It's important for leaders to quit or to step back when they're strong, not when they're tired. And I feel as if the organization is financially in a very sound position. Our ROE is sitting at more than 20%. We've diversified our earnings. We've grown non-trading earnings by 80% since I took over, and that now contributes to 38% of our top line. We've transformed a number of systems. We've introduced quite wide-reaching change in technology, using AI to replace our BDA system, virtualizing our co-location centers. And if I look at the broader market, there is a level of synchronicity. Mm-hmm. To step down at a point when the JSE is rallying, the confidence has come back into the market, feels to me like the right time. So indeed, I'm not, while I'm stepping away, I'm not stepping out. I will still continue to champion and to contribute to growth, economic growth on the African continent.
And so stepping out on high is important for you, but I imagine also stepping out when you've ticked all the boxes. And I'm glad that you mentioned the 15-year period in totality for the JSE, because when you did make your return, funny enough, you started on the 1st of October 2019, and we're having this announcement in October of your decision to step down. You came in at a time where there was a lot going on in South Africa's economy and the world. 2019, the economy, paltry growth, which didn't spell great news for listings in the JSE, and we saw a whole lot of delistings. We had the COVID-19 pandemic, as you did mention, the unprecedented riots of July. There was Russia's invasion of the Ukraine, the great election year in which a whole lot of political change was happening in the world all over. And right now we are looking at the upending, some are calling it, of the global trade system as we do know it, and a resetting of multilateralism. So that is the environment in which you presided over Africa's largest stock exchange. What were your biggest accomplishments in your view?
Well, I think I view accomplishments through a couple of lenses. Firstly, through our people, and most importantly, and I would say the most important contribution I've made is to enable staff to grow and develop, to deliberately mentor and build people. If I look through the organizational lens, I would say that the JSE is in the strongest position that it's been in a decade. Financially, we have a clean balance sheet. We have paid growing dividends to our shareholders. We are well diversified, as I just mentioned. Our ROE is growing and looking very healthy. From a general operational perspective, we are at an all-time high on our market availability. Our client scores are at an all-time high. But really, when I step back, the arc of innovation is what I feel most proud about. We've introduced a fundamentally different approach to technology. Our cloud-based and AI utilization through the organization is a very, very powerful platform on which to compound growth. We've built up partnerships at a global level, and that allows us to plumb into global centers of liquidity. And then if I think about South Africa in the context of this very complex world, this multipolar world that you've mentioned, my global roles advocating for both South Africa and for emerging markets were very important, I think, both for me and for the country. I've spent a fair amount of time working with our local CEOs on projects like Project Phumelela, which is under the National Treasury's leadership, but we're looking to enable, and we're coordinating from a private sector perspective, enable dollar-based funds to be set up in South Africa, to enable dollar-based listings, dollar-based collateral. All of those elements will fundamentally unlock our society. We are also working, I'm also working with a number of my CEO peers to engage rating agencies to take note of the tremendous growth and the infrastructure and the SOE change that we're seeing in the country. And so when I step back and look at this, I think ultimately I'm only a steward, and the JSE is much bigger than any one CEO. But the role that I've played in my tenure, I feel very comfortable and happy to wave that on and to welcome new young energy to take it forward.
Of course, what I didn't mention is that your tenure was also a tenor in which the JSE had to navigate a trust deficit. It was in the aftermath of corporate scandals that will go down in South Africa's history. Mm-hmm. And so it's a question then on challenges. In terms of the 6.5-year chapter, what happened the most difficult for you?
Yeah. Fifi, I would say without question the biggest challenge both of my career and my tenure as CEO was navigating the global pandemic. Mm-hmm. During that time, many of my staff lost, in fact, almost all of my staff lost people close to them. We lost people in the JSE, and it was most important for us to make sure that we considered the safety of people first and then the safety of markets. We took a long line of vision. We had a very accomplished, in fact, one of our leaders was a chemist, Alicia, who also happens to manage most of our crises. Mm-hmm. And foresaw what was coming. And we took the decision to start creating the ability for the exchange to work from home. It was unheard of at the time, as you can imagine. We were designated as an essential service. It was a difficult time for me personally because I was completely on my own with my family in Australia. But it was also a time of tremendous camaraderie, and I saw an incredible sense of empathy in the people that we were working with. The industry were remarkable. The industry donated 3 days of their trading fees, together with the board and myself donating 30% of our salaries towards the Solidarity Fund. So in a rather ironic way, it created a sense of solidarity, and it galvanized people towards the real purpose of the JSE.
They often say that hindsight is the best or one of the best teachers. And as human beings, I'm told that we're not perfect, I'm told. So it's a question around regrets. Is there anything, as you look back, that you wish you could have done that you didn't, or that you think you could have done better than you did?
Look, I think the pandemic period caused us, and I suppose rightfully so, to shift our focus to crisis management, maintaining orderly markets. And that did take away a good year or two of our ability to accelerate transformation. So I would like for the transformation to have been faster, and I would like for what we put in place, the basic building blocks to enable listings, to have translated much quicker. There are, of course, many contextual factors that drive listings, but I would say those would be two things that I would like to have seen moving along a little bit faster.
So if we wrap everything up right now, leadership, for leaders like yourself, I know that legacy is very important. And therefore, how would you want the market to remember the Fourie chapter on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange?
Well, Fifi, I would say firstly and most importantly, I would want both my board, my staff and my executives to remember me as a leader with empathy, with a principled leader with integrity. For the market, the legacy I would say that comes through, and it's not my period because it's really a joint period, you know, the Ubuntu I am because we are. It's very much me standing on the shoulders of the giants in the organization. But those elements would be a digitized exchange, a front-footed and very relevant exchange, an exchange where our regulatory infrastructure is completely transformed from cutting red tape to simplifying our listings requirements, to segmenting our market into a prime and a general market, to growing actively managed ETFs, which is a genuine opportunity for market participants to expand their investment. I think the important thing is also inclusive growth. We started the exchange as a mining company to enable mining funding 138 years ago, and we've now shifted that to become an exchange that funds electricity grids, infrastructure, and many things on the ground that really matter. Our sustainability bond segment I'm incredibly proud of because we've grown that to 70 billion rand in funding, and it's more than it's increased by 50% every single year since the inception, and that's really fostering inclusive growth. We've built a private market which enables small and medium enterprises to access funding, and we've built a very well-established SME environment called SME Rise. And so it's really those things from an organizational perspective. And then from a country perspective, the JSE is at the heart of capital markets. And I do think that I have left a legacy which entrenches South Africa on the global stage as open for business, as a market that is trusted, resilient, and very sophisticated relative to many other emerging markets.
As I said, you came in and there was a form of hiatus on new listings on the JSE. A whole host of factors can be put to that. Right now, more recently, in fact, this month, we have heard of an AI fintech company that is looking to come to market. You've got one of your SPACs, a cannabis SPAC, that has just moved and migrated onto the main board in 2024. There was a whole host of activity, some unbundling activity, but we did have one of the largest unbundlings and new listings of the retail group in the form of Boxer. What do you make of the current state of companies coming to the market right now, and what do you think that is reflecting about South Africa's economy?
We can certainly see a shift in the sentiment around capital formation. Last year was a reasonably good year, and this year the intended listing or the announcement of Optasia to choose to list on the JSE is prescient and an important signalling factor. We do have a number of listings in the pipeline, and it's our expectation that this will continue to grow. South Africa is in a much more positive position relative to where we were when I first joined, as you mentioned at the outset. And so our outlook is positive, but we're cautious, and there's still a long way to go.
And as you mention South Africa right now, I also reflect on the fact that, I mean, we are going to be hosting the world next month on our stage, Africa's first G20 in South Africa. And I'm interested to learn what you think we are sending out to the world right now by way of message signaling, and what we should be signaling as the world does descend on our shores.
Look, we are at a wonderful point of inflection. South Africa will be writing history as the first African country to host the G20 and the B20. And it comes at a point of growth, a point of promise, and a point of hope about the economy. It comes at the point when the FATF grey listing announcement should be happening. And it's almost like a 2010 World Cup moment, except it feels a lot more enduring. And so I think that we should be using this opportunity to own the narrative, to position South Africa as open for business, and to expand on as many of our multilateral relationships as we can. We live in a multipolar world. We are at the nexus, both geographically in terms of our deep water port in Cape Town, as well as with our resources. And this creates enormous potential for the country and for our markets and for the people on the ground. And so I'm very excited, and I think that this is an opportunity that shouldn't be missed by public and private sector alike.
All right. So let's talk about the road ahead, starting with the road ahead for the JSE. I don't know if it was by coincidence or by design that this is the third time in a row that you have a woman who is taking over the helms. Feel free to comment on that. But I think that anybody who has met Valdene Reddy will understand why she's a choice. Consummate professional, absolutely respected in her craft within the industry. And every time I see her, I just experience the passion that she has for the capital markets. But there is a question, I'm sure, as to why Valdene and what made her leadership important for the JSE's new chapter.
The board undertook a rigorous process, both locally and internationally, and Valdene emerged unanimously as the correct candidate, head and shoulders above any of the other contenders. I'm fully supportive of Valdene, and I believe that she will take the solid foundation that has been built and compound that growth. Valdene comes with 20 years of experience in capital markets, 10 of which are here at the JSE. She understands the context, she understands the markets, she has deep technical expertise. It's a very technical and complex role, combining the regulatory, the commercial side, data, listings, and there are very few people that are able to fill those, to add value to all of those areas. So I'm very excited. I'll definitely be cheering from the sidelines. I'll be available to Val if she needs me, although I'm pretty sure she'll be pretty independent from day one. And I think she'll bring a new energy. She'll bring continuity of strategy, because she's been part of the JSE and part of the strategy that we've been building, but she'll also bring new innovations and new ideas, and I have no doubt that both the market and the staff will be delighted to have her at the helm and leading the organization to the future.
No, we certainly also look forward to conversations with her in the new role, but yes, that's still going to be some time. As you did say, that you are still in the seat for another 6 months. But post 6 months, what does a chapter, I think it'll be like March 2026, so what does chapter post 6.5 years at the JSE look like for Leila Fourie? I mean, if you can just give us a headline of what that chapter is called, even a blurb, if you want to.
Yes. Well, Fifi, I'm planning to follow more of a portfolio career. I will spend some time probably on boards, in governance style roles. I'll spend some time in academia, and I'll spend some time contributing, making a genuine contribution back to society. That's very important for me. I'm planning to sail around the world and to continue climbing as I have been, and that requires a lot of preparation and practice and learning, and I'm busy with that now. And so yes, I think I'll be climbing new mountains and crossing new seas, and looking forward to spending time with people that are important to me, my family, and really, while I'm stepping away, I'm not stepping completely out. I will still continue to contribute to the commercial environment on the continent, and also potentially in global spheres.
Well, Leila, it has been an absolute honor being able to speak with you as a journalist throughout the 6.5 years, from the icy slopes of Davos in the World Economic Forum to the richest square mile here on the African continent, the headquarters of the JSE itself. We do wish you well.
Thank you.